2, 3.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I'm going to be reading The Princess and the Pig by Jonathan Emmett and Polly Bernatine. The Princess and the Pig. Not long ago, in a kingdom not far from here, a farmer was traveling home from the market with a cartload of straw. The farmer was so poor that he didn't have a horse and had to pull his own cart. In the back of the cart lay a tiny pink piglet. Nobody wanted to buy the piglet at the market, but the farmer had taken pity on it. I'll call you Pigmella, he decided, as this seemed like a good name for a pig. It was a hot day, and the farmer stopped to rest in the shade of a great castle. Far, far above him, on a high balcony, a queen was inspecting her new baby daughter. The queen was so rich that she had 7 nannies and didn't even have to look after her own child. The queen picked up the baby out of her cradle and held her at arm's length. I'll call it Priscilla, she decided, as this seemed like a good name for a princess. A moment later, a wet, squelching noise came from the baby's diaper, closely followed by an awful smell. Yuck, shrieked the queen, dropping the baby and running off to find the royal nannies. She left so quickly that she didn't notice she had dropped the baby over the edge of the balcony. Down, down, down went the baby into the farmer's cart. Up, up, up flew the piglet into the princess's cradle. When the queen returned and found the piglet lying where the baby should have been, she let out an even louder shriek and fainted into the nanny's arms. The king thought he knew what had happened. A bad fairy has done this, he explained. The fairy wasn't invited to the princess's christening, so she's turned the baby into a piglet to get her revenge. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. Meanwhile, the farmer had returned home and was surprised to discover a baby girl lying where the piglet should have been. The farmer's wife thought she knew what would happen. A good fairy has done this, she explained. The fairy knew how poor and honest we were, and how badly we wanted a child, so she turned the piglet into a baby. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. And so, without a second thought, the baby became Pigmella, the farmer's daughter, and the piglet became Priscilla, the royal princess. It wasn't long before Pigmella was able to eat, walk, and get dressed, all by herself, and the farmer and his wife soon forgot that she had ever been a pig. Things were not so easy for Priscilla. But the king and queen never let anyone forget that she was really a princess. As Pigmella grew older, she grew smarter and beautiful and was admired by everyone she met. As Priscilla grew older, she grew not so smart and not so beautiful and was avoided by everyone she met. Then, one day, the farmer's wife overheard some of the castle servants talking about the princess who had turned into a pig. It's just like what happened to Pigmella, she told her husband, only the other way around. The farmer soon guessed what had happened. The princess and the pig must have swapped places somehow, he explained. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. The poor farmer and his wife were very unhappy. They loved Pigmella, but they knew what they must return her to her rightful home. Pigmella was also unhappy. She loved the farmer and his wife and did not want to leave with anyone else. But they were an honest family, so the next day they all went to the castle to see the king and queen. The king and queen listened to the farmer's story, but they didn't believe it. What nonsense, cried the queen. Ridiculous, the king laughed. This girl may be smart and beautiful, but she does not look or speak like a real princess. The queen thought she knew what was happening. It's a trick, she declared. This girl is just a farmer's daughter pretending to be a princess so that she can marry a prince. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. And so Pigmella returned home with the farmer and his wife, where she married a young shepherd and lived happily ever after, and never once wished that she'd been a princess. And Priscilla also got married to a handsome prince. Although he had to be talked into it, Priscilla was changed into a pig by a bad fairy, the king explained. But once you kiss her, the spell will be broken, and she will turn back into a beautiful princess, added the queen. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books, they assured him. But unfortunately for the prince, it's not the sort of thing that happens in this particular book. Thank you for joining me for my story.